The study and investigation of a culture or society, generally based in observation of a group of people, resulting in the analysis of that specific group. Is a term used to describe carrying out ethnographic market research in an online space. Today we're going to talk about how the use of digital media affects relationships.
I think that digital media provides us with endless opportunities, meaning we can do anything in the digital space just as we would in real life, from online dating to paying bills.
Yeah, and I think that the best thing here is that we can actually connect to people all over the world. And for example, I'm an international student, my family lives in Bulgaria, but now I can easily contact them and share with them my moments.
Digital technology can help in terms of business relationships as opportunities become more accessible through the means of the digital media. For example, social media, small businesses, niche businesses are able to reach out to influencers who they feel are more suited to their business, who they might not be able to find in everyday life.
And for example, you can work in England and live in America. It's easier and it's a big advantage, I think.
So in my opinion, nowadays it's really easy to find people with the same interest and fit in groups.
Yeah, take as an example fandoms. There are people from all over the world, different people, different races, genders, and they stay connected because they share a common interest. So digital technology helps us improve our self-confidence because, for example, when we post something on social media and our friends tell us we look very nice, we automatically feel better.
Leading on from your point, I feel like social media does help with our confidence as we're able to express ourselves openly without any judgment. For example, topics that were once seen as taboo is seen as more acceptable and is seen more as a norm. For example, being gay and things like that and being trans is more acceptable because people are more openly talking about it on social media, so it helps the youth as well as things with depression, anxiety. It's become more of a norm and it helps the younger generation with their confidence so they know that it's normal. Although digital media has its positives, it also has its negatives. For example, we were talking about how the business opportunities are more accessible through the means of social media. However, you can argue that the media has become oversaturated now, so it's harder to be unique. A lot of people have the same ideas. Everything's been done before.
And that leads us to another problem, which is that actually we don't know if the person who is standing in front of us is real or not. Online space and digital media is a dangerous place.
And it can lead to bullying and things like that. And it's so much easier to say things behind a keyboard and behind a screen because they don't know you personally. Like she said, you don't know if the person on the other side is who they say they are.
I think that there are so many fake news nowadays that we don't know on what we can believe and count on.
Which affects our relationships because it makes us less trustworthy, it makes us have to think twice and it makes us second guess everything.
Another negative aspect is that we get easily distracted by screens and this can lead to losing touch with other people. If I'm speaking to her and I get a notification on my phone, my attention gets easily diverted to my phone and I stop talking to the person I have in front of me.
At the end of the day, we understand that digital technology is only going to advance from now, so we want to understand the negatives so we can improve it for the next generation.
And make our relationships more healthy.
And diminish the negative aspects.
Yeah.
Okay, hello everybody, we're making a behind the scenes video creating an advert using the semiotic theory.
So, semiotics is the study of codes and languages and the science that they are made of.
We're trying to convince the population that the company Apple is actually making our lives happier. Our first idea was to use Snow White biting her apple, but then we thought a little bit more and we decided to change this idea. So now, let's see what we did.
So initially we tried to include the character Snow White by presenting imagery with her biting from an apple, then dying, then coming back to life because she received a notification on her Apple product. But the initial ideology behind this was that if you buy Apple products, your life will automatically be better, like a princess's. But we thought that people might interpret it wrong and link it to the fact that she's dying because of the wicked witch putting poison in her apple. So we tried to focus more on connotation.
Because from the old advertising that we were going to do, it presented the idea that apple connotes death, when really what we want to present is that the apple to connote positivity, that apple should connote health. So from the idea that an apple a day keeps the doctor away, we thought that the best slogan would be something that mirrored this analogy. So then we decided to go with the slogan, "Eat an apple, make your life better," as we felt that it was easier for audiences to read and understand our initial concept, which was that apple is made to help people with their lives and help bring them positivity and happiness.
Monica is working on. The girl has an offer positioning, like an offer. She offers a lifestyle. For example, her gaze is she uses like indirect contact, eye contact. She's not looking through. She's not looking directly at the viewer.
Yeah.
You see how she has that shy look on her face, like the offer positioning. This is passive eye contact.
Cut it, but what do you think?
About the font.
I'm gonna
just
cut
look
it
at the
here. Really.
Look at
Do you
her.
like it?
I think that the apple chingy down is a little bit too light. Maybe
The color.
So right now we're just discussing whether the green text makes it look unprofessional.
The logo is under. Second, the logo is in the same place. Third, the logo is in the beginning. Fourth, the logo is above. Fifth, the logo is in the middle. Sixth, I think I just made like the color of the apple brighter. This is a this. I took out the word apple and I just made it like this. 9. I put it like.
Oh, I like that one, you know.
10.
I think that the first with the logo that was under all of the letters
Oh,
was
I
the best.
I like this.
So that's cool.
Final product.
Final product, everyone. Woo!
Okay.
This week in class we talked about how we research space, but what is the difference between space and place? The space is a demarcated area where things occur, and the place is our perspective on the space, our understanding of a space being defined by our place within it. There are more types of spaces. The first space is the material reality of the structure. The second space refers to the representations and discourses of the space that shape our perspective on it. And the third space is the place, which is the combination of the first two.
Cathedral Church of St. Michael, commonly known as Coventry Cathedral, is the place where our group has decided to go and interrogate our interpretations in regards to this week's task on researching space.
I think that the cathedral is a sacred place where every single person can find a spot for themselves. It's somehow that this place makes a connection between the past and the present. It's beautiful that our ancestors are leaving us these buildings because they're sharing their culture with us. And we actually really appreciate it because in nowadays we can make so many beautiful and modern things, but still the cathedral here makes a huge impression on us and stays in our minds forever.
My initial interpretation is that in the cathedral you have to be quiet and respectful, as there's not a lot of people talking and people are trying to view the cathedral as well.
So some other rules that you have to follow when you are in or around the cathedral are to basically respect others, do not run, do not push anyone. You're also not allowed to smoke in or around the building, and you are not allowed to drink or eat anything.
So our group has decided to look at Coventry Cathedral, as we really like the history and context of this establishment. From first glance, the space just looks like a regular church, but from the context and the connotation of the place, it means a lot more.
This place is one of the ruins that were left behind during the Second World War.
As it was bombed during the Blitz. However, instead of knocking down this beautiful cathedral, Coventry chose to keep it standing and decided to build on top of the destruction, which turns this holy cathedral into a place, as the three aspects of space develop the four walls into a place with meaning, as this cathedral connotes more meaning through historical and contextual knowledge.
For example, a space is a kitchen, and the place is like the meaning we give to the space. For example, it's a place where we eat, or even your room can be a place where you
see. A space is the denotation and a place is the connotation.
Like we perceive the world through narratives and images. So like each one of us has a different perspective on every single thing we encounter in this world, and I think this is so unique.
Yeah, for example, like your bedroom is just a space, but then when you start putting like your own touch to it, it becomes a place.
It's like the house, because basically one simple house is a space, but when you all go to live inside and you put some things and it becomes a place, it becomes your home.
Yeah. Especially leaving another country to come here.
Our space is the place basically, and it's made up from the material reality, meaning what is the space in reality, and then the discourses and representations about the space that shape our perspective on it. For example, we know it is a church because there is a cross.
And yeah, we also know how to behave in a church through cultural understanding. I feel like did you say that? Everyone understands like things like to be silent in a church, to be silent in a library, because it's been passed down through generations.
In some cultures, you may be, in American culture, you may be feel comfortable sitting with your shoes on the bed, but for example, if you do that in the Japanese culture, it's a sign of disrespect. So we kind of understand the world, and we have a perspective on the world it's shaped by the culture we live in, and by our age too. Today we are filming our 4th video with our guests, the other group. What's your name? The Digitals. We are here with the Digitals, and we're filming today a focus group. They are going to interview us on the Brexit topic, and we are going to interview them on the Me Too movement.
A focus group involves a group of people with common experience and interests that are interviewed by a moderator for the purpose of getting their opinion on a specific topic.
So what was it that you found?
Because focus groups are more like informal, so they just stress how like we should make it very informal and very comfortable for everyone. Everyone has like an equal voice, so to make sure that just everyone can answer without judgment.
Now we're going to look into some advantages and disadvantages of doing a focus group. I think an advantage is that is a quick way of learning people's opinion on a particular topic. It's a very inexpensive way of conducting an interview. It doesn't need like a lot of preparation before. You get like a diversity of opinion. You can really see how the group dynamics are.
Some of the disadvantages of having a focus group is it lacks depth, as people don't get to talk about what they want to say fully, as everybody has to add their opinion. It has to be fair. People might feel reserved and not want to share too much in a group setting, as they might feel uncomfortable or feel as though they're going to get judged, as we are discussing taboo topics, and with that can come some controversy and some backlash.
The questions we have picked are: what are your general thoughts about the Me Too movement? Do you think sexual assault is an important issue in today's society? Has any of you experienced any type of sexual assault? Would you say that there are, in the 21st century, sexual assaults has increased or decreased? Do you think because of the Me Too movement, men and women will stop sexual assault? We have chosen these questions because we thought they were suitable and appropriate to ask our focus group, because everyone can answer and participate.
Okay, today we made a focus group which involved 5 girls at the age of 19 to 20, and we asked them about the Me Too movement. From the interview, we actually understood that they are quite interested at the topic, because this affects all the women in the world. So the result was that we all agreed that we should not just stay at home, and we should actually do something to prevent this.
So today we're filming a weekly task which consists of a focus group, and I'm just going to ask, since the topic we're going to be discussing is quite sensitive, I'm going to ask for their consent on camera. We're going to be discussing the Me Too movement. So if this is going to trigger anybody, to agree, but does everyone agree? Today the purpose of the meeting is to seek a wider perspective about the Me Too movement, especially as we're all women and statistically we're more likely to be sexually assaulted. So I'm just going to ask you a number of 5 questions and to review them. So first of all, what are your general thoughts about the Me Too movement?
I think the Me Too movement is really good because it shows that people are actually able to speak up their opinions and how they've experienced the same things as other people all over the world.
I think also it's a really good idea, as it can hopefully bring those women to justice and finally, hopefully feel safe one day.
Do you think sexual assault is an important issue in today's society?
It's really serious matter, because sexual assault is...
No, I see what you're trying to say. Like, it's not something to be like messed around with or joking around with. Like, it's serious. It happens every day. And there's not a woman in the world who can't say she either hasn't or she knows someone who hasn't been sexually assaulted. Do you know what I mean? And it's become such a common thing that you don't realise that you are being assaulted.
Has any of you experienced any type of sexual assault?
You know what? I did. When was Halloween? Wednesday night. I was walking out of the queue and someone started feeling me up.
Would you say, like, in the 21st century, sexual assault has increased or decreased?
I'd say
increased. No, I'd say it's the same, but now people are brave enough to say it.
But do you think because of the Me Too movement, men and women will actually stop assault, sexual assault?
No. Generally, I don't think it will.
Are you guys happy that the Me Too movement is a movement?
Yeah. I feel like slowly but surely we'll get to where we want to be.
Sensory ethnography is based on the understanding that human meaning does not emerge only from language. It engages with the ways in which our sensory experience is pre- or non-linguistic and part of our bodily being in the world. Sensory ethnography focuses on the relationship between sensory and culture and the status of vision in relation to the other senses. Okay, so you know that in Western cultures people are so drawn to the visual side of things, but non-Western cultures really focus on the importance of taste and smell in their lives. For example, the Onji people who live in Andaman Islands even do their calendar based on when different types of flowers bloom, and they name each season after one particular scent. And this is very interesting because they really know how like that particular smell affects their lives. For example, smell is important even in our lives, but we don't really realize it. For example, for me, the orange peel reminds me of Christmas because around that period of time, everyone puts the orange peels on trays in order for the room to smell like beautiful, and this reminds me of Christmas.
And, whenever I smell the smell of Coca-Cola, it reminds me of my 4th birthday party because we had loads of balls and that was the first time I drank Coca-Cola, so I do have some cultural context between when I smell things and, you know, yeah.
So another important sense that we have is sense of taste, and different cultures identify with different senses of taste. Culture that identifies with taste completely different to Englanders. In the Chinese culture, they absolutely despise cheese as it's just something they're not familiar with and therefore do not like or even acquire the taste for. But instead they eat stuff like dogs and insects, and that's a norm to them. However, here in England, in the UK, we have some ethical issues with that, as well as feeling as it's not normal. However, like, different cultures identify with taste in different ways.
So you know that sometimes we don't really understand the importance of all senses in our lives, but research done by Norway scientists shows us that really the taste sense is the one we cannot live without. And I think for me, for example, taste is very important in my life because when I arrived here in Coventry, I felt the need to for something to remind me of home. And for me, Indian spices, even though I'm not from the East, Indian spices really remind me of home because my mom used to cook with them all the time.
Back to the lecture where you watch it with Dr. Jong Mi. What I've realised is that when the man listens to some music, it jogs back memories, and I believe that sight also does the same thing as well, because we may walk, like, in 10 years time or 15 years time, we may look at the same object and it will take us back to what childhood we might have had.
In Western societies, the visual sense has been established to be the most formative one, so we can easily understand where the emergence of the pictorial turn comes from. In Western societies, people try to fit in what it is considered to be the ideal standard of beauty.
I totally agree with this because in the Western culture and society, we are much more saturated with images of the idealistic imagery of what a woman should look like. And so we then feel as though the way we look and visuals is more important than any other sense. So today we're going to talk about how we use digital media and how it influences our lives.
We live in a world where a digital divide has been established between certain cultures. There is a gap regarding how much access to information they have. This can be both an advantage and a disadvantage. For example, I feel like I'm using too much social media, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and I feel like this takes up a lot of my time, which I could use to improve myself.
Use cases of people that have grown around, so the new form of social media, pretty much the Web 2.0, the more interactive side of social media itself. So we're more adapt to how it works, so how much time we spend in comparison to a digital immigrant who is someone that's less likely to be around that social media influence, which are really like older generation, like parents and grandparents, or I say maybe people of the age of 40 and above. As we grow older, there'll be a new wave of digital natives So our form of social media may be outdated, or we might not be with the current way of communication. Because right now, if we grow up, as we get older, we realise that more parents use Facebook and older generations, but younger people have started to step away from it, and that's their kind of demographic of what they want to use in comparison to us we use Snapchat and Twitter.
Do you think that we're kind of born in the wrong generation? Do you think this is harmful for us that we use so much internet and
Yes,
social
I know.
medias?
Do you know what? I feel like we've got too much influence from other people. So let's say, for example, big social media. Say you've got the most followers, and you say something, and then everyone else will create a rule that what you've said is correct. And people don't know themselves no more. People have lost their identity due to social media because they've got two lives.
Even
One
their
for social.
privacy thing.
Yeah, they just follow what is trending.
Yeah, and usually they don't put up their true lives online. They put up
Just
something that is supposed to look nice, but it's not the reality. That it isn't a reflection of their reality.
Their true self, and I feel like this is what contributes to younger generations having feelings of anxiety and depression. For example, even you get FOMO, like if you're not constantly on your social media, you start to you feel like you're losing touch with your friends and you're missing out, and you don't want to miss out on it at all.
Fear of missing
I
out.
actually got that a lot. I get that a lot because I sit in class, I'm trying to pay attention to what the lecturer is saying, and then my group chat starts talking, and I feel like I have to be there in order for me not to miss out.
We've looked at a picture, we've taken it, let me take it again because I want people to see this side of me a bit more.
And as well, even if it doesn't even look like a nice picture, they edit it. So I don't know, I feel like for the ages that we are now, we're old enough to know when something we are old enough, we have the knowledge to know, that's not fake. But then for our for younger siblings, for example, when they start to feel insecure and have these insecurities, I feel like now it's going to become our job. It's going to be the parents' job now to say, you know what, that's fake and this is real, because it's so saturated, nobody even knows what real.
There's a lot of information.
And even people at our age don't know that.
Some people
they don't realize that.
They don't realize.
It's only getting worse. It's only going to get worse. In my opinion.
Young people are our future, so maybe we can change this.
I mean, we're still young. We're going to change this future.
Of course.
We can't.
And I think that even now we rate each other, because if I meet with you and you have a lot of followers and I see that, I will be okay, he's probably a nice guy, a famous guy, I have to be friends with him because he has
even changes people's personalities.
A lot of people think like that.
What do you think about the fact that we leave a digital footprint everywhere we go?
That is so
it's a scary concept. It's a big concept.
Because who's watching you, It's like surveillance.
Basically, everyone is watching you. Basically, the whole world is watching you and is stalking you with every step that you make.
Do you know what's even scarier about social media? Although you may have deleted a post, on a database, there's something there.
That scares me, targeted advertising. It's like you click on an ad for a dress, then you go on Facebook, you see the dress.
Whatever you enter, it doesn't matter if it's Facebook or some random website, they get your IP address. If you log in with something, they get your data. They get basically everything.
That's
they know everything about you.
That's like the Cambridge Analytica, Cambridge Analytica issue.
On Wednesday, the 21st of November, I candidly captured a day in Monica's life and tried to document every time I saw that she was using digital media. As you can see, throughout the day, Monica appears to be so indulged by her phone that she doesn't solely focus on one thing, whether that be at lunch, studying, walking, or even watching a movie. This is a negative, as it suggests the idea that millennials are slowly losing touch with reality.
I thank you. That's cool of you to voluntarily want to give me coffee. Just Right, so they just give you a window, like the cable guy. So we're all waiting there. listening to every footstep, every moment, and then